Star Trek Continues, Episode 1, Pilgrim of Eternity. First of all, about Star Trek Continues. I've long been a fan of Star Trek New Voyages, aka Star Trek Phase 2. And New Voyages Phase 2, it's a cool show, but as you know, I've done a few reviews on it, and maybe you've watched it yourself. It's a bit amateurish. It's really fan film. The acting is not that great, and it's cool. It's really cool, but it's a bit amateurish. It's a fan film. It's how it is. So, for a long time, I avoided Star Trek Continuous because I figured would be pretty much just more of the same, more of that Star Trek New Voyages fan film material. They're pretending to be on Star Trek the original series, pretending blah blah blah, and not really being that good at what they're doing, but still good enough to enjoy. But I wasn't really enticed to watch more of that Star Trek New Voyages style. New Voyages is cool, I like it, but I wasn't really hyped to watch more of it. And then years later, I was really bored, especially when that new version of Star Trek came out. You know which one, the new perverted version of Star Trek came out. I was going to check out what else is available in Star Trek, so I finally watched Star Trek Continues, fully expecting something more of the quality of New Voyages. And that's not what it was. It wasn't in any way fan film quality. In no way. It was just... I watched it, and first time I watched it, my jaw was like dropping this way down, like that stuff could be on TV. Star Trek Continues could easily be on TV. You wouldn't know that it was fan produced. It's so incredibly professional for a fan production. The acting is great. It isn't always perfect, but you watch Babylon 5 or something, Star Trek Continues has better acting than Babylon 5, and I love Babylon 5, and Babylon 5 was on TV. Star Trek Continues has better acting than that. It's not award-winning perfect, but it's better than a lot of shows that actually are on TV. There are a lot of shows on TV that have worse acting, that have worse writing. Star Trek Continues, it's perfectly TV quality. It could run on TV. Nobody would know it's a fan production. It's 100% professional television quality. It's not award-winning perfect, but it's absolute television quality. That really, really surprised me, really shocked me. The quality, it's just incredible. I watched the whole show, of course. I'm not doing this review of the first episode just having seen the episode. I've watched the whole show twice by now. And as a summary, before I get into the other reviews, I can tell you I much prefer their original stories than the episodes that are sequels to TOS stories. And the first episode, Pilgrim of Eternity, is one of those. It's a sequel to a TOS episode, to Who Mourns for Adonias. And they have, like is usual for fan films, they have several episodes that are just sequels to TOS episodes, because it's done by fans. They're fans of the original series and want to express that. They are fans of the episode, and so a lot of the episodes, I'd say about half, are sequels to episodes that they are fans of, that we all are fans of. But I honestly prefer their original stories. The one I'll do next episode 2, Lolani, it's really great. It's a real tearjerker. Or one at the end called What Chips Are For, it's really amazing. Or one in the middle, Come Between the Dragons, it's really great. And there's one, I forgot what it's called, with an ancestor of the Enterprise C, Captain Garrett. That one is great. There's one where they're in the American Civil War, another great one. General, like all the episodes that are original stories in this show, they are really awesome. And the ones that are sequels to TOS episodes, they're good. There's one to Mirror Mirror, there's one to Where No Man Has Gone Before, there's... Actually, I think this is one of the few Star Trek fan films that does not have a Guardian of the Galaxy episode, but it has a few sequels to TOS stories. That's fine, it's a fan show. But I greatly prefer the original episodes. Another one is called The White Iris, where it's about Captain Kirk doubting himself. It's kind of half sequel, half original. It's pretty cool. Anyway, this episode, like I said, it's a sequel to Who Mourns for Adonias, and Apollo returns. He's an old man, spoiler, and he lost his powers, and his fellow Greek gods lost their powers and they're dying. And I don't want to do too many spoiler things. Don't want to tell you the story in advance. But it's a good sequel. It sets up the show really well. It's one of the best openings of any Star Trek show. First of all, if you compare it to the pilot of New Voyages, it's like 1,000 times better. But also like certain Star Trek pilots or opening episodes, like Encounter at Farpoint wasn't that great, and The Emissary I thought wasn't that great either. It holds up pretty well as something starting the show. And the story is well written, intelligent. I'm a bit confused right now because I'm trying to draw a line between what I want to say about the entire series and what I want to say about this individual episode. The entire series, of course, the visuals, acting, and so on, they're just great. And I can say that about the whole series, but in this episode I just think it's really amazing how much love, how much detail they put into this story. It's not just a script that's like one A4 page, like let's do these few plot points and fill the rest with filler material, just kind of like all of Star Trek Discovery. It has a whole story with lots of detail, lots of story elements, lots of character interactions, and room for character growth. Characters developing from a point in the beginning in the story to a point at the end of the story. It develops really well. It's written extremely well. It's acted extremely well. It really pulls you in. And it gives you something to think about. It has a moral to the story that's not just like certain modern Star Trek. It's not just flavor of the month, what's trending on Twitter, political ideas. It's general morals. Like I was saying once to someone else, comparing Star Trek to Discovery to classic Star Trek, it's like in Simpsons, they developed from doing basic moral stories that will be relevant for 1,000 years to being purely current events that nobody will remember what it's about in a year from now. And that's the difference. It's doing the classic Star Trek basic moral ideas that will still be relevant if you watch the show, if you manage to be over 100 years old, if you watch the show in 2119 in 100 years from now. It will probably still be relevant, as opposed to some current events kind of stuff that if you watch it next year, you're asking yourself, what is this trying to say? I have to Google what it is referring to. It's very basic moral stuff, and it really pulls you in. It's really convincing, and it really sets up a high quality show. I'm really impressed. Like, I've watched the whole thing already, but I rewatched the first episode for this review, and I'm really impressed with this show. It's really high quality, good stuff. Really impressive, really great. I wish this show would have gone on for more than 11 episodes. It's really good, really high quality stuff. Really good stuff.